Good morning and welcome back to the Yoga Life channel. Thank you for tuning in again, and today I want to share with you some really interesting insights about how to set yourself up to live your best life in terms of the people and the places you surround yourself with. So I'm going to first share a bit of a story and then give you some insights on how you can be more discerning about what kind of people, what kind of places, what kind of environments you pick to live your best life. So what's really important when you are planning to set yourself up to thrive is that you remember what kind of people, what kind of places, what kind of environments are supporting you in being the best that you can be. You would remember probably a job that you once had, or a friendship scenario that we were in, or some gym or some place where people were toxic and obnoxious, where they were negative, where there was bitching going around behind people's backs, where you felt out of place, where you didn't feel really appreciated, or you were treated like the house slave by some boss, always being sent to get the coffees. And that kind of toxic environment, like a toxic manager at work, for example, can really drag you down and can impact your positive energy and your kind of juice of life in a very profound way. Now, if you remember, on the contrary, being in an environment where you were really supported and encouraged, where people were noticing your talents and really helping and catering for them by supporting you, stepping up and stepping into being your best self, maybe would give you responsibilities so that you could grow into a role. And they were just really loving and respectful to you. Maybe some boss that started acting like a mentor and would give you a bit of their time, probably at lunch, tell you their own story and help you to see how you could do better and what your next steps could be. The difference between those two people, their kindness, the way they behave, even the general workplace culture, whether people are more cliquey and stick to themselves or are open and supportive, can make a tremendous impact on your life. And in the same way, family can. I'll share with you a story of someone I met a couple of years ago before I go into the strategies. At the retreat center I used to co-manage with a friend of mine, we used to run yoga teacher trainings. And at some point we had a really lovely, lovely young lady who was doing our teacher training. She was a professional, had come from a couple of thousand kilometers away from a different city, and was staying with us for a few weeks. And whenever I saw her, she was loving, she was kind, she was upbeat, she was encouraging towards her friends and her fellow trainees, just one of those people who you remember, right? And on her last day, she actually was quite downbeat, and she asked me if we could have a chat. So we sat down, found ourselves a bit of a place away from everybody else. And she started to tell me that she's really concerned about traveling back home in a few days. That back home there is quite a toxic family environment, quite a nasty dynamic between the parents, quite a difficult dynamic with one of her siblings. And that had meant that previously, before coming to our teacher training, she had been always the functional one in the family, working full-time, looking after all her family's tricky business, and been on antidepressants for years because she was barely coping with that environment. And she said, while I've been here with you guys, while I've been surrounded by good people, been uplifted, been encouraged, I haven't needed any of that, and I felt the best that I felt in years, but I'm really worried about going back, but I feel so responsible for them, so I don't know what to do. And she said she doesn't want to step back into those dynamics. And the interesting thing was, the first thing that struck me was that somebody along the line there decided to medicate her to be able to stay and cope in a really toxic environment. And that's something that I find really worrisome in our society, that nobody actually looked at the setting that she was in and the environment and the difficulties she was exposed to and helped her step away from them, or helped her see them in a different light, set healthy boundaries and step away from that kind of toxicity. But actually she was given medication so that she could dull herself enough to stay in a difficult scenario like that. And if that's you, if that sounds like something that might be true for you, I mean, I'm not here, I'm a coach, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not here to tell you get off your meds and go on a holiday trip. That's not the point. But start to be discerning about the kind of people and environments you are allowing yourself to stay in and to stay stuck in, because they can massively impact you. Now, this lovely young lady actually decided after our conversation and with a bit more encouragement, after she had returned home, within, I think, a month or two, she moved to a different place and is really happy now, no more medications, and her life has really taken a big turn for the better. So that was wonderful to see. But what I want to say to you is, what is it that you can do to make sure that you are setting yourself up to succeed when it comes to your environments? As you probably have heard previously, there is a saying that goes, show me the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I'll be able to tell you who you are. The thing is, as humans, we are incredibly susceptible to the environments that we are in, and we're incredibly easily dragged along with other people's vibes, other people's behaviors, other people's needs and attitudes. So take a long, hard look. If you feel there's an area in your life where you could be doing better, take a long, hard look at the people that you are surrounding yourself with and whether they are actually serving you. That doesn't obviously mean everybody should just be there to cater for your needs, but it does mean that you should have a look at whether those people are uplifting, are encouraging, are actually seeing you for who you truly are in your potential and in your highest expression, and are willing to support you towards that, are willing to encourage you, will pat you on your back and celebrate with you when things go great. Are you having really shallow conversations, maybe just talking about the weather and the next beauty trend? Or can you actually go deep with them? Will they truly care? Will they actually show up for you when you most need them? So that's something to really think about. People adjust to their environments. So depending on who you expose yourself to and who you are with, that will also reflect back on you and will reflect the opportunities that you can take in your own life. So first of all, my recommendations would be define what it is that you want in your life. What's your highest potential? Where do you see yourself in 5 years and 10 years? What's the kind of lifestyle you want to be living? What's the kind of environment you want to be in? What's the kind of experiences you want to have? Do you want to have family around you? Do you want to go traveling? Do you want to have a certain job or something? And then, depending on what the lifestyle is that you are looking for, find where those kind of people, where those kind of circles are hanging out. So be deliberate about who you are spending time with. That doesn't obviously mean you have to ditch your old friends and family, but be discerning about it and start to increase the time you spend with people and projects that are contributing towards who you want to be and the goals you have in life, and take a little bit time away from those other people. And then the more you are spending time with the new crowd, the better for you, and you can inject your time and your energy and your focus into the things that you want to create. Now, it works a little bit similar like tuning into a radio frequency. You can choose which frequency you are tuning into, what kind of environment you want to set, what kind of standards you want to have, what kind of boundaries you're putting up also to keep the toxic people out. And you can tune into your best and highest energy at any point in time. What kind of music encourages you? What kind of reads encourage you? What kind of environment and friends? Like, there's certain practices you can do potentially that will uplift you. And once you are in the frequency, that's kind of the baseline of your ideal life, then you will naturally see that as you manage to stay in that frequency, you will start to almost naturally repel certain people because they won't be drawn to that anymore. For example, on our yoga teacher trainings, people would stop drinking and would stop smoking and taking drugs. So obviously coming home into their original environments would often mean that their friends would go like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not fun anymore. And then it's obviously a choice for those teacher trainees, whether they, or new yoga teachers at that point, whether they wanted to go back into that old life and do that again. No judgment, of course. If that's what you want, go for it. Or if they wanted, though, to keep up the same vibe that they had created during their yoga teacher training, and maybe find themselves a crowd that doesn't only go for drinking, drugs, and alcohol, and maybe finds ways of having fun without that. So be deliberate about this. Tune into the frequency you want to live in. And naturally, some people will fall away, but that's a good thing, even though it might be scary, because it opens up space for the right people to enter your life, for people who are matching that frequency. You can see that over and over again in the yoga space, for example, where we are moving a lot, that people are freeing up space because maybe some of their old crowd doesn't relate. But that frees up space, and suddenly you make friendships who are truly resonating with who you are right now and with who you want to be in the long run. So tune into your frequency, get clear about what it is that you want and where you want to end up, and then find those people who are going to be supportive and encouraging. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure that you click the subscribe button at the bottom of the page. Ring the little bell to make sure that you get notified when we have more interesting content come up. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.